Hey, check out Kyler Murray becoming the 7th Heisman Trophy winner by an Oklahoma player in history. 7 Heisman winners, 7 national championships. Hey, still got 1 game left to play as well. Man, this is really cool. What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today we're doing an impromptu live stream because how often do you win a Heisman Trophy? If you're Kyler Murray, it's this one time, then you're going to go play baseball. If you are a fan of Oklahoma, hashtag blessed, right? Because this is back-to-back winners of the Heisman Trophy. First time this has happened to 2 individual players on the same team since Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside at Army, 1945-1946. Man, this is really cool, right? This is really cool. Now, so we're going to get into what this means. But first, thanks for joining, right? I know that this is a late notification, but also gave me an excuse to test out this new live streaming setup. Been working on it off and on all day. I don't know. I kind of dig it. I like the way it looks. I'll probably work with it a little bit more, probably try to make it just a little bit more crispy. But you can already see that we're having a lot of fun, especially with the new chat. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it's something that you're into. Goodness me, this is great. Wow, Super Chat. Dominique, Quarterback University. I mean, it kind of feels that way, doesn't it? It feels that way. It feels that way with Baker Mayfield and what he was able to do last year, where he was clearing away the best player in college football and set the passer efficiency rating at 198 point whatever. Doesn't matter because Tua Tagovailoa broke it. And then Kyler broke that, right? That's the thing to really just dig your teeth into if you are a fan of college football, but specifically what Kyler Murray has been able to do this season is unprecedented in the sport. In a year where everybody is having a great season, or so it seems from the passing standpoint, taking into account what Kyler Murray has done, it blows my mind. But we're going to back up and we're going to put this into some context, as a lot of folks have just kind of, been trying to do all week, really, myself being one of them. But let's start with Dwayne Haskins, right? Who we knew wasn't going to win the Heisman Trophy. We knew this. We knew it because Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray had put together the kind of season that was beyond historic. It never been seen before. But Dwayne Haskins also had an outstanding season that it feels like 5 years ago would have won the Heisman Trophy, like peep game. In 2013, Jameis Winston passed for 3,820 yards. Right? Come on, right? And then 67.9% completion rate, and then 10.9 yards per attempt, went 38 touchdowns, 10 picks, 4,000 yards from scrimmage, and 42 total touchdowns. He won the Heisman Trophy at Florida State in 2013. Dwayne Haskins, over 4,500 yards passing, right? 4,580. 70.2 completion percentage, 9.2 yards per attempt, 47 TDs to 8 picks, 4,702 total yards from scrimmage, and then 51 touchdowns, right? That's bonkers. That's really an outstanding season, especially when you put it into perspective. The man lost 1 game this season. And not only that, beat Michigan like they stole something. Beat them like you owed them money. It was ridiculous what Ohio State was able to do to Michigan, and then in a way in which Ohio State had never done it before. Like, if you've been paying attention to Ohio State, and I have, because it's one of the best teams in college football, you'd know that not only is that offense awesome, Dwayne Haskins has basically lapped every QB record they have in a passing category and went past Drew Brees at Purdue and what he was able to do. But more than that, he made a legend change the way that he calls football games. Urban Meyer was one of those guys that brought in the spread offense, but it wasn't like Mike Leach's air raid. They didn't throw the ball. He spread the ball, or spread the formation to run it, like Chad Morris at Clemson when he was at Tulsa and now at Arkansas. They wanted to spread to run, which means they needed a quarterback that could run. But Dwayne Haskins was not only not that great a runner, but more to the point, a better passer, that my man could actually make Urban Meyer go, okay, maybe we need to throw the ball a little bit more. And Ryan Day was way ahead of him saying, yeah, we're going to throw the ball a lot, actually. We're going to go for 450. We're going to go for 500. We're going to use these receivers that we have out here to basically open up the run for Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins. And in the process, you hang 60 plus on a Michigan team that had been one of the better defenses in college football. And, you know, you can't lay an egg to Purdue and expect to be in competition for the college football playoff. You lost by nearly 30 to an actual train, right? It's just not going to cut it. But then you got to take into account what you had seen from Tua Tagovailoa, right? And yeah, the stats are kind of ridiculous. I had a lot of fun basically stumping for Kyler all this week, right? Because, you know, that's quarterback, especially. Even if it wasn't an OU fan, but I had a team in the Big 12, I'd still be stumping for Kyler because, you know, you want the conference to do well and you want Gary Patterson to be right. Gary Patterson had the best mood about anybody outside of Oklahoma about what Kyler Murray and this offense and the Sooners' prospects of winning a national championship should be like. And I think that every coach should do what that man says to do from the standpoint of, hey, when Oklahoma's good, the Big 12 looks good, whether you want to admit it or not, right? So that was the other thing. I also kind of thought it was funny that Dwayne Haskins grew up saying, I'm going to Ohio State, I'm going to play quarterback because this is awesome. You know, the Texas folks like to say that about Sam Ehlinger. You know, they like to throw that up. They like to say he's supposed to be here, and this is the only place he was going to be, and this is Texas's quarterback because this is where he was, you know, always wanting to be. And Dwayne Haskins is up there at Ohio State doing the same thing. Nobody's yelling about that. I don't know, man. I've had it up to here with Texas fans over the last month or so. But even more to the point, I've had it up to here with folks that don't want to acknowledge that the three finalists were all really, really outstanding football players this year. There wasn't a dud up there, right? We were talking about whether or not Gardner Minshew or Will Grier needed to be there, and both of those guys had outstanding seasons. They just didn't have the kind of seasons that the other three guys had. I mean, it feels like you're taking points away from some of these kids because the offenses are so good and because they're so good at throwing the ball and because, you know, the rules are slanted toward the offense. But fact of the matter is 70% of your passes completed, over 10 yards per attempt. You know, and then Kyler Murray is this video game out here, man. Like Baker Mayfield had the record for yards per attempt, and then Kyler broke that, and Tua is third on that list. Anyway, I could continue to go on about Haskins, but I won't because Kyler Murray won this thing. And why did he win it? Because he's the best college football player in America. Not just the best quarterback, which Davey O'Brien gave him that trophy, AP Player of the Year. I mean, stacking him up. But just to take into account what he was able to do in a conference championship game versus what Tua was able to do in a conference championship game. Now, the argument for Tua is the man had 400 fewer snaps than Kyler. Okay, fine. Take it up with Nick Saban for not playing him. Also, can we talk about how Kyler didn't play one FCS team at all on the schedule? You know, tell me about that really big win against ULL. Tell me about that really big win against Citadel. I can even get a hard time getting it out. FCS Citadel went in tied at halftime, 10 up. But even so, right? Tua won the national championship as a true freshman. Tua is undefeated as a quarterback in college football. 13-0 this year, over 3,300 yards passing, 37 TDs to just 4 picks, 67.7 completion percentage, 190 rush yards total, 5 rushing TDs, and a passer efficiency rating of over 200. That's a phenomenal season. It really is. You know, even throwing in the FCS cupcakes that Nick Saban schedules on a regular basis, and even throwing in the egg that Tua laid, 10 of 25 for 164 yards, 2 picks, and a TD against Georgia. Now, a lot of Alabama fans want to point out that Tua got hurt on the first drive for Alabama of the game. To which I say, if he was hurt, then why'd you keep playing him? You know, why not just let Jalen Hurt come in there and do what Jalen Hurt was eventually going to do in the first place? Then Tua gets hurt in such a way that he just ain't going to be able to finish, right? I mean, the running joke was, I'll bet Tua makes at least one visit to the medical tent at the Heisman ceremony. I mean, I'm not saying the man's glass, but he got injured a whole lot more than Kyler Murray got injured. And more to that, Kyler Murray was responsible for more of the offense. We know this. There are about 4 games that you could point to that Oklahoma loses if Kyler Murray is not the quarterback, right? But even so, 12-1, 4,053 yards passing, 40 passing touchdowns to 7 picks, 70.9% completion percentage, 892 yards rushing, 11 rushing TDs, And, of course, the rating of 205.7. The man averaged 7.3 yards per rush. I don't know how you were going to give it to anybody else other than Kyler Murray after seeing all of this, but we knew that somebody was trying to because Tua had the highest number of second-place votes of anybody. I mean, what was it? Tom Rinaldi had that to say. But I just continued to look at the metrics. I continued to look at the statistical categories, and I continued to look at the meaningful wins and the tough games, right? It's just Kyler. It's just Kyler. Now, there's also the joke about, the defense knew how good Kyler Murray was before the start of the year, and they just decided to make a concerted effort to give him every opportunity to score at least 50 points a game by giving up 35 plus a game. Because they were like, yeah, well, we just want everybody to understand that Kyler Murray hasn't just been sitting on the bench eating Snickers. We want everybody to know that he's been running us roughshod in the scout team for at least a year, coming up on 2 years before he finally got the reins, to which everybody on the defense has to be going, see, we told y'all that Kyler Murray is a problem. And now he's even more of a problem because we're talking about whether or not the man needs to be playing baseball or football. But I want to check the chat because I've just been going on and on and on. Make sure that I don't miss a super chat or whatnot, because I'll do that. You know how I do. Yo, Trey Brown, you just been putting time out. Sorry about you. Raw, don't respond to it in that way, dog. Don't respond to it in that way. We can't do that. So, what else we got in here? We have the Heisman and you don't. We have Kyler Murray and you don't. So, what does this mean for Kyler Murray going forward? All right, obviously it means he's the Heisman winner when Oklahoma plays Alabama. I'm sure Nick Saban's going to take that back home, be like, y'all think that dude's the Heisman winner? And they're going to, bulletin board material. But every Heisman candidate is bulletin board material. That's just the way that this stuff goes. I don't find... Johnny Manziel was bulletin board material for Oklahoma in 2012. Still stopped the mud hole in OU and walked it dry in the Cotton Bowl. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't do it for me, man. But if that's what amps you up about a college football playoff semifinal, you go right ahead, Nick Saban. You use that. But what does it mean for Kyler after? Well, let's assume the best. Let's assume that Kyler becoming the 7th Heisman winner for Oklahoma means Oklahoma wins its 8th national championship, right? So that'd be 2 games. Then you're talking about, what is Kyler going to do with his professional future? We know he's done playing college football. We know that if for no other reason than he said, I'm reporting the spring training. Spring training with the Oakland Athletics. Prospects report March 1st. Okay? So there's that. But then you're talking about what happens if he gets drafted, if a team decides to use a pick on him. Okay? That's interesting. That's interesting for a number of reasons, and I will point you to the video that I dropped earlier tonight about how the baseball money lines up versus the NFL quarterback money. Because if he was a corner or a wide receiver, the money, there's no contest, right, between baseball money and wide receiver cornerback money. But there is quite a contest between NFL QB money, especially if you go in the first round. And, of course, all-star baseball money. The thing to keep in mind here is that Clayton Kershaw has made $173 million. He's won 3 Cy Youngs, and he's made 7 all-star teams. Matt Stafford, who is the same age and been in the league about the same amount of time, has made $178 million and made 1 Pro Bowl. So if Kyler Murray were to get drafted in the first round of the NFL, because then you're talking about Baker Mayfield money at the top end, which is $22 million signing bonus, $32 million guaranteed. And you're talking about Lamar Jackson money at the bottom of the first round, number 32 overall. And that man got a signing bonus of $5 million, which is about $300,000 more than what Kyler got paid. Plus, his contract is for $7.5 million. So if they cut him tomorrow, if the Ravens cut Lamar Jackson tomorrow, and they're not going to cut him, he's starting against the Chiefs on Sunday. But if they cut him, they still owe him $7.5 million, which means he's at nearly $3 million ahead of Kyler Murray after Kyler Murray finishes out about a 4 or 5 year contract, right? And then there's all kinds of math to be done, and we can talk about which teams might take a chance on drafting Kyler Murray in the first, second, third round, right? Let me see. What do we got here? Connor Smith. Kyler's dad, so spooky. All right. That's how you feel? Okay. I get it. That's how you feel. I'm a little off center, aren't I? Let me see if that works. That's bothering me. Just look down. I'm like, I'm just a little too far to the other side, aren't I? So, what teams might think about taking a flyer on a guy like Kyler Murray? Well, let's move the microphone a little closer. I got to believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars are in the Kyler Murray market. Why? They just pumped $40 million down a guy that couldn't start against the Tennessee Titans on Thursday in lieu of Cody Kessler. Like, they got a quarterback situation, and they need one in the worst way. So maybe they think that they draft this guy early, and they can convince him to stop playing baseball and give a lot of that money back because he ain't going to get to keep it, right? The other team to think about, perhaps, would be the Oakland Raiders. Why? Because John Gruden knows he ain't got the franchise guy he needs in Derek Carr. At least we know it. That's how we feel about it. And he's got these other picks he can use because he traded away, if not the best defensive player in the league, 1B in Khalil Mack to Chicago and got all these picks back. So he can either put together a package or use one of those picks on Kyler Murray because he can take the flyer on the best college football player in the country and the best quarterbacking season ever. He could do that. And lastly, I think the team to watch is honestly Washington, because you lost Alex Smith to not just a broken leg, but an infection in his leg. You lost Colt McCoy to a busted fibula. We know that that's not easy to come back from. And Mark Sanchez is damaged goods. However, Mark Sanchez has made $74 million over the length of his career. Speaking of which, Chase Daniel, who nobody heard of until Mitch Trubisky got hurt again, has made nearly $30 million. And he spent more time standing next to a Gatorade jug than he has on a football field. So the money, if he gets drafted, the money on the short term and on the long term could end up being more if Kyler Murray played in the NFL. But I don't know that he's going to do that. Still, you got to take into account how hard it is to get to the show, because it ain't like the NFL where you could play tomorrow, right? It's 3-4 years to get to the show. The barrier for entry is just higher, right? So we're going to talk about who's going to get the starting quarterback job in another video, Dominic. I mean, it's Kindle's right now. But I don't necessarily think that overlooking Kyler Murray is what the Washington Redskins want to do. I think if they have an opportunity to go get him, they're going to go get him. I think if they have an opportunity to say, we could put this guy next to Samaje or even Adrian for another year. I don't know about AD. I got a hard time thinking AD is going to stick around for much longer. But you also go get another wide receiver to go along with Josh Doxson, because I remember Josh Doxson at TCU. The man could play. Or maybe you go get Corey Coleman off the practice squad for the Patriots. I mean, you could put assets around Kyler Murray in Washington and make it work. But for that matter, you could do the same thing in Jacksonville, same thing in Oakland. I think those three teams for the most part. But then, Jerry Jones, being the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, might decide he doesn't like Dak anymore. Who knows with Jerry? I don't really know. But those are only three teams that make a whole lot of sense to me. That's about where we are right now. That's what this means. That's what the Heisman Trophy means. It means the heat on Kyler Murray is about to turn up in a huge way. All right. Let me see. What else we got in here? Anybody else got a super chat that I missed? All right. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I appreciate y'all joining. I'm so happy for Kyler. I'm happy for his family. It's really been a lot of fun just watching him play football, and I think we're all fortunate to get him play at least one more time against the other best quarterback in the entire country. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.